sitting here with my morning cup, waiting on the sun to come up. It's currently 54 degrees here. It's cloudy. K1BYD, 73 M side, K4FNY. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning to you. Yeah, the band's a little up and down here. I'm going to move Chad further away. I'm hitting it a little hard here this morning, but it seems to be doing the job. Let me see. Look at the O-scope here. Well, we're at, according to what we're about 115% or something like that, give or take. You know, as the years go by, you never know what you're seeing, whether it's a mirage or real life. The band is going up and down, all of that, so we'll have to hang in there. But you're building, your signal strength has been building each time. But that's the way it is for this time of the month. How has everything been? Hopefully you're safe and away from all kinds of things out there in town or else. Go ahead.
W2BNY.
Yeah, I guess band conditions are really raking us over here. Go ahead, K4FNB, picking up there, K1BYD.
Okay, Steve, K1BYD, K4FNY. Well, sorry I've lost you in the noise. I just barely can hear you call in there, so maybe we should stand by for a little bit and see if the band will improve. I know that Perry just went to get a cup of coffee. W2BNY just spoke in. Go ahead, old man. W2BNY, K4FNY.
W3MMR. Good morning to everybody. Band is lousy this morning. Lots of static here in Buffalo. The handle is Steve, so we've got two Steves on here. And good to hear everybody. Charlie, haven't talked to you in a long time. Temperature here in Buffalo is 33 degrees. Cloudy morning here this morning. So I'll keep her short. The band is a little squirrely here this morning. I'll pass it back to Steve, K1BYD from W2BNY.
Yeah, okay, the band's still changing around here. I'm just adjusting a few things. Whoops. There we go. Well, the band is going up and down. I think what I'm going to do is, for coffee, I'm going to sit here and sip some of mine, and we'll see if the band comes around, because it'll work more on the East Coast there than out to us characters that live in the state of Ohio here. So, let's see, I'll shoot it back down to FNP there, and you may be having big time trouble with it. What I'll do...
I'm still here.
Enjoy my coffee for a few minutes. If the band, if it comes around, fine.
Steve is fascinating right now. Good morning.
It's early morning gyration.
Hey, good morning, Charlie.
If you're back, feel free to jump right in there. So I'll be sitting here sipping my coffee K4 FNPK1 Big Yellow.
I'm still in here. Go ahead, Charlie.
Okay, Perry. I lost Steve in the noise that time. So let's get him involved. K4FNY. And Perry, W2BNY is also listening, but he's not real loud yet either. I'm just sitting here with my coffee, waiting on the computer to update itself. So let's do things again. Anything I got saved in there, but we'll see how it goes. Anyway, it's 64 degrees. We're going to have some storms here in a little bit. We've got some on the way. That's probably where I'm hearing all this noise. The thunderstorm. So run the same old Bluetooth 610 out this morning. Back to you, Barry, W3, and see if you can pick up BNY. W3MMR in the group, K4FNY.
Yeah, K4FNY. In the group, W3MMR. Yeah. I got a good copy on you, Steve, or Charlie. I had a fairly good copy on Steve out in Massillon. And I had a fairly decent copy on Steve BNY. So I'm hearing everyone here locally. No web SDRs or anything of the such. I'm trying to adjust some things here on the audio as I go. I got a new amplifier in line, Yates, and I'm trying to eliminate some noise from the fans. I moved it across the room under the desk and made a hell of a difference. I just hope it's not too loud. You can still hear it a little bit, I guess, but it's not nearly as bad as it was there. So, yeah, just on the Anon this morning, Apache Labs Anon 200D SDR into a Henry 3KD amplifier, into a homebrew balanced L network tuner, into a 600 ohm ladder line fed 80 meter doublet up 65 feet there. So we'll pick up Steve BNY, see if he's hearing me. Steve, W2BNY, here it comes. And then flip it back down to Charlie, and Charlie, drag your feet. We'll see if Steve out there and the mayor of Massillon wants to hop back in. W2BNY in the group, W3MMR.
W3MMR, W2BNY. Okay, Perry. Crazy morning here on the band. I'm using the K3FEF web SDR, but Perry, I'm only able to pick you up on my NC303, my local receiver. You're about 35 over, but the static crashes are really, really heavy here this morning. So I think I'm going to do what BYD is doing, sit back and listen, see if the band picks up a little bit as we move forward into the morning. So the Anon sounds pretty good with the Henry 3KD there, Perry, and good to hear you on this morning. Charlie, I don't know whether you're picking me up, but I'll send her your way. I'm going to be standing by here, probably get another cup of coffee. So good morning to everybody. K4FNY in the group, W2BNY.
Did he drop? I just literally walked out of the room for a second. He was in the middle of a sentence. Did he just drop out, or did he turn to you, Charlie?
I couldn't really tell Perry at all. He's about half-day here this morning, and the noise level is about the same, so I did not copy him on that transmission at all. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm copying both of you fellas a lot better now.
Okay. Yeah, it sounded like he just dropped down in the middle of the sentence. Steve, are you still in there, BNY?
Yeah, something happened.
Yeah, I think something happened. Well, all right, Steve, if you want to hop back in there, we'll have, we'll work it like this. I'll turn it to BNY if he comes back. BNY, I'll turn it to you, Steve, out there in Massillon. BYD, and BYD, Steve, you'll turn it down to Charlie, and Charlie, you'll turn it back up to me. Charlie, are you hearing, let's see how you're hearing, Steve out there in Ohio. Pick it up, Steve. K1BYD, W3MMR.
Yeah, okay, fine. Both of you came up. It's hard to say exactly what, the conditions are going to do minute for minute. But I'm sitting here sipping the coffee, and both of you came up. At one point, you were right up there, Perry, to 25, 30 over 9, but, it's morning conditions. I won't hold each transmission too long because, just the way it is this time of the morning. Go ahead, back down south, K4FNP, pick it up.
Okay, Steve, K1BYD, K4FNY. So your signal came up on my end through the same. You're about 10 over 9, so just about the same as Perry. Well, that was solid.
I'm hearing some kind of other oscillation, and it's showing up on the screen on your signal.
Yeah, it sounds like it's some kind of feedback or something. It almost sounds like a heterodyne beating against your carrier, Charlie. I thought it was somebody keying up with you, but it's the second time it's done it, and it goes away the second you unkey there, so... you in there, Steve? W2BNY before I pick it up, W3MMR. Did anybody hear them?
Yeah. He's tuning up right now.
Good morning, Perry.
Yeah, good morning, Henry. You're in for EDQ in there. Alright, well, let me make one real quick, and I'll turn it down to Henry. Hold on, N4EDQ. And then, Henry, you turn it back to Steve K1BYD up in Massillon, Ohio. See if we can make it around in here. Anyway, Don WC4D is listening. The band is a mess. FEF is messing up, cutting it in and out. I can hear Charlie on the FEF, but not a trace of him on the waterfall. Yeah, something's up there. Okay. Well, good morning to you, Don, if you're listening. Yeah, band's a little funky this morning, but I got a good copy on everyone. Don says he's having some static crashes down his way, but nothing up this way. Well, very little, as far as static crashes go here. So, I guess we're lucky. Anyway, maybe one of you guys that can hear me fairly well can comment on the audio, make sure it's loud enough. Everything seems to be loud enough. Average modulation seems like it's okay. And everything looks all right there. So 120% on the positive side, just about. And 99% on the negative. And everything looks cordial. Running about 250 watts of carrier. And peaking up around 1100 watts there. So, That's the story here. Back down to Henry. Good morning, Henry. N4EDQ, W3MMR.
Yeah, W3. MMR and 4EDQ. Very good. Good morning, Terry. Nice to hear you this morning. I tried to make it yesterday, but the van was in such poor shape. I got on, I heard you, but boy, the van was really strange. A lot of static crashes down here this morning. I didn't get the call sign of the station in Ohio, so I won't keep it long. Just turned the rig on, came up here in the shack, and I'm going to run down real quick and get another cup of coffee. But anyhow, you sound good. You're about 15 over. 15 over. You're coming through the static crashes. And I did hear Gary, WD4NKA, this morning saying something, but he had a very, very loud noise on his signal, so I don't know what that was, but I didn't say anything to him because I was still warming up the transmitter. And I'm on the 101EE with the FL 2100 amplifier. So let me send it over to a station in Ohio. If they can copy me, this is N4EDQ. If not, you relay for me, Terry.
Yeah, okay, very good, Henry. I don't know if I have your call correct yet, but that's typical for an old buzzard my age. You know, I'm known as the old buzzard cantankerous curmudgeon. You know, actually all of the above. Because I'm right in there, top of the list, you know, griping and all of that. Anyway, yeah, the band's still going up and down. You know, it's doing its morning thing. Let me look here. Oh, my God, the temperature went up. I guess it's time to run to the beach. It's 37 degrees here. Oh, dear. A big difference from when I was living at Virginia Beach. So, you know, I'm sitting here sipping a coffee, but I'm going to have to pretty soon get my lead butt moving here just to prove that everything is working. Because you never know. This is the year of the big countdown. So I hit that, you know, I'm counting down because I just passed the 79th birthday. And so it's the big countdown to the big 80 about a year from now. So, yeah, and that's when you really got to make all the plans, you know. Do I really want to start building that 10-year rig? You know, that kind of stuff. Let me see. Let me get it down to FNY, and then we'll get it back up to Perry and see if Charlie, if we get the, if he's got the problem straightened out. And we'll see what happens. If not, let's see. Perry, you pick it up because you're right there on the coast, you know, where you're going to have the advantage over me. Go ahead, Charlie, if you're there. If not, Perry, go ahead. And I'll try about one more go-round. K1, Big Yellow Dog.
How about a Charlie in there? K4FNY, W3MMR. No copy on Charlie. Okay. So it comes to me and then back to Henry. Okay. Anyway, okay, Henry, well, good morning to you. Great to hear you. Seems like it's been forever since I spoke to you on here. I'm trying to, as I go here, I'm trying to mess with my audio. And I have what's called a leveler, and I have what's called the ALC. And it kind of brings up, you know, it's supposed to bring up your average modulation and bring up, you know, keep your peaks up high, but it also brings up the background noise if you have any background noise. And I turned it down some, and I just hope it doesn't bring down the overall loudness of my audio. It just brings down. So I could have stayed. I could have stood to turn it down some, so I did. And it seems like everything's still okay. It seems like my audio might be still plenty loud there. So that's the story on that. So maybe, Henry, if you hear me good enough, you can comment on whether you hear the fans in the background. Now that I moved the amplifier, you can still hear like the ambient hum that from the fans. That woo, woo, woo. There's nothing vibrating on the amplifier itself. It's just that hum that I don't know how to get rid of. So I'm gonna have to ask around. Maybe some people know. But anyway, Henry, you're coming in real good here this morning. Steve and Massline, you're coming in great. Charlie was coming in great. And Steve BNY was coming in really good. So this is the first morning I've had good conditions with everybody. In a while, it seems like. It's either static crashes or it's either, the band's really long or really short. So everything seems to be working out here this morning. Back down to you, Henry. N4EDQ in the group W3MMR.
MMR, November 4, Echo Delta Queen. Okay, very good, Terry. Yeah, you're coming right through the static. And Steve, good morning to you. You're coming through the static very good. That big yellow bird. I see you flying by. 80 years old, my gosh. I'll have to call you my daddy. I'm 71 there, Steve. So keep on trucking. Keep on going. I think you said that you're going to be 80 years old or something like that. Anyway, I've been playing around with some VHF, UHF, Perry. I pulled out the old rig. I sold one of my trucks about a year ago or so, maybe a year and a half ago. And I left the 2-meter antenna on the truck and pulled the radio out. And just... So I didn't do anything with it. And at the Hamfest in Dalton, I went ahead and bought a band antenna. So I pulled it up in the trees. I had another pulley up in the trees that I didn't use for any dipoles or anything. And I went ahead and put that up in the air. And got it working pretty good. But yesterday I ordered a fiberglass push-up pole and all the stuff. Ended up spending $800 for that thing with the base and there, all the little hoopla that goes along with it. And went ahead and ordered that. And we're going to put that antenna up about 45, 50 feet on different sections of my property. So that's what we're doing. So I got that. A bunch of my buddies around here, here in the mountains, the VHF, UHF works real good. We can talk into 3-4 different counties. It depends how high you are with elevation. And I'm about 2,400 feet up. And so it's pretty good elevation here. So we get all over the place on FM. And we use that mainly when we do DXing. If some of the rare comes in, we have a frequency that we use for DX chasers, and we tell each other where they are. So it kind of works really nice. So that's what I've been doing here in the last couple days. And today is raining again. It rained the day before yesterday. I just looked out. We're getting quite a bit of rain. And it looks like there might be some thunder in the background. We're getting a lot of static crashes. So I hope I sound okay this morning. And you're coming through nice, and congratulations on picking up another, it sounds like an amplifier. You might want to tell me what you got, oh yeah, by the way, we got your QSL card. Thank you very much. Got your card. Nice looking card there, Perry. K1, big yellow dog to take it. Go ahead, Steve, take it away, you young old chicken.
Yeah. All right. Well, let me clear my throat. You know how it is. Well, maybe you don't, but you will someday. So far, occasionally my memory, I'll be in a conversation and then suddenly I want to talk about it. And the brain just just goes, try again later. All lines are busy, you know. It's really something. I'm 79, just past my 75th birthday. And next year for my 80th birthday, they said that the only way, no candles, but they'll allow a large backyard bonfire. Well, it's kind of cool. Signals were pretty good there. I'm watching the O-scope here. I love looking at the waveform. And, I've been giving some thought, why in the heck? We've got every display on the SDRs now. I know with a super het receiver, if you get into the IF detector stages, pick off the RF at that point, amplify it, you can shove it into a scope so you can actually see the actual waveform of the station that you're talking with. If you have never done that, try it with an old AM radio or something. You'd be surprised. You could tune the dial and look at the modulation waveform of everything on the dial. And what's cool is we're not loaded with too much noise. You can literally analyze, how he's doing with his transmitter. The first time that I was on the air on AM was somewhere around 1955, a long time ago, and I was a youngster, and I remote controlled my transmitter, and all that kind of stuff. Boy, it was something else. Out here, VHF in Ohio is usually there's things going on all the time. The guys are out here on 50.4 AM. Right now, in the background, you can't hear it because it's turned down. I'm listening to the Beacon on 6 at 50.010 all the way. It's way up by Cleveland, and that means, I don't know, 65, 70 miles away. I'm not quite as high as you are, Henry. I don't know, 1,030 or something like that. But it's a little bit different than being at Virginia Beach when I was like 12 or 14 feet above sea level. I have operated pretty much throughout the years from Connecticut. Where our property was, we had a considerable amount of it.
Hey, Henry, I'll be right back. I got to run down the band. I'll be back in 10 minutes. W3MMR.
The other thing, all things go the way of the dodo bird. But to make a long story short, there's a lot of iron ore.
W3MMR. W3MMR.
W2 it. Joe's going to come up.
Hey, cool. How copy?
I copy okay. Not bad, sorry. How do you count? I'm running about 400, 500 watts.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm running. About 1,300 or so.
So, I got on 85 earlier and shut it right off. Just heard Z and I called CQ, and I don't know if he heard me or not. It was just too much noise, so I just on the dial.
Yeah, he tends to have selective hearing, it seems like.
Well, he uses WebSDRs most of the time, and because I think he's got a high noise level issue out there.
Ah, okay. I remember you saying that before.
Just so you can hear him doesn't mean he can necessarily hear you, and so that one of the problems using those WebSDRs all the time. A lot of times, guy that's using a web SDR hears real good, but you can't hear him because he doesn't have a real good antenna and stuff.
Hey, I just tuned up. Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine, Joe. Can you hear me?
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Joe. I hear you great up here.
Yeah, you're sounding good. I had to tweak my tuner, but got it working.
Yeah, well, you sound great, Joe. You're about 15 to 20 over, and Pop, you're about S9, so yeah, I can hear both of you guys fine.
Your dad told me about the venting system you came up with, Perry. That's pretty good.
Well, it works great. I didn't want that hot air sitting underneath the desk there, so I vented it out from under the desk, and now I have a heater for the shack.
But you don't have the amp on your desktop?
No, it's across the room. It's too loud.
Okay, doke.
Yes, I put it, I got a desk over there on the other side of the shack where my DX100 and my NC303 and all my boat anchor stuff sits. And that's about, 6 or 7 feet behind me. And where I had my AL80B was about a foot and a half behind me. So it was way too loud where the AL80B was. So I put it under the desk and kind of put like a quilt over top of the opening. It's the opening where you would put your legs if you're sitting at the desk. You know what I mean? Like using the desk as an actual computer desk or something. And I put the quilt over the front of it, and it's. I could still hear it, but it's not nearly as loud as it was. It doesn't sound like I have my maid in the back cleaning the shack while I'm on the radio.
Yeah, that's what your dad told me. But it's sounding good.
Well, thank you, Joe. You sound great up here.
And I get a lot of times, Joe, we'll come on this frequency in the morning a little bit. He gets done up the band, but Perry spends most of his time, probably 90% of his time on AM, Joe.
Oh, okay, well, there's nothing wrong with that. Now, I see Perry, you said something about an NC303. I had one of those, and that was a tremendous receiver.
Oh, I love it. It's my go-to receiver when I'm on that station. I have the Hammerlin HQ140 as well, and when the band's nice and quiet and there's not much QRM on either side, I get on the NC303 and open it up wide, and it's a joy to listen to. And honest to God, I think it rivals the AM audio quality of this Anon. When I have it opened up way wide, then I'll flip over to the HQ140 if I need to narrow things up a little bit, because it's kind of a nice in between between the NC303's wide filter. Then you have the HQ140, which is somewhere, like I said, in between, and then you have the narrow AM filter on the NC303 if you really need to get narrow. But I have the Q multiplier in it, but I can't seem to get that thing to really do what I want it to do, to try to narrow things up. It seems to be more or less like a notch filter as opposed to narrowing up either side there, Pop. W3MMR.
Yes, sir, I believe you hit the nail on the head. W2SDR, W3MMR, I believe, W5JI. Well, man, it's great hearing you. And now you're using the Anon and the Henry amplifier currently?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, I'm using the Anon, this 200D, and that's going into the Henry 3KD, and that's going into a homebrew balanced L network tuner into my 600 ohm ladder line fed 80 meter doublet in an inverted V, apex about 65 feet here. We're 7 miles southwest of Philadelphia in Chester, PA, here in Delaware County. Joe, go ahead.
Oh boy, yeah, well, it sure sounds good. Well, I'm using inverted V also with open wire line. I was using a balanced tuner, but I went to a Ballon and then the standard T-Match tuner, because the balanced tuner was a Palstar 1500 that I had problems with. So I took the variable capacitor out and put a rotary inductor in, a vacuum variable in there with a turn counter. And I had to add some inductance to get on 160. So I had to put a switch in the back. So it's in the same box, but it doesn't operate like it should normally. But it works all okay, but I like this T-Match tuner, and I ran a couple of tests, and the signal is not as strong, but not a great deal of difference between the balanced tuner and the T-Match tuner. Carry over.
Yeah, boy, that guy's Splatter City below us. Well, yeah, I have a T-Match tuner over here. I have the the MFJ 989C. What's it? The VersaTuner 5. There's 1.5 kilowatt or 2 kilowatt T tuner, and I ran that before I built this tuner. I ran that for quite a while with the Ballon, the one-to-one Ballon inside of it, and the current Ballon, and somebody's at my door. Can you hold? I'll be back in a minute. You guys pick it up. W3 MMR.
Well, I'll tell you what, 6:15 in the morning, that's something.
I wonder what that's all about at this hour.
Isn't that the damn truth?
Yeah. Well, check out his QRZ page. When you get a chance, you'll see that tuner he built, that balanced tuner. He made the roller inductor. He made the inductors, the inductors out of copper tubing. Over.
I'll be darned.
The taps them, depending upon what frequency, and he has a vacuum variable for the capacitor. Anyway, we'll see what happens. Yeah, up to this part of the bay, it gets really, really crowded up here. Oh, Dave was trying to get a hold of you on the telephone. Did I tell you?
Oh, you didn't?
Hey,
he never called.
But I guess you don't hear the phone.
My cell phone's in my pocket, and it never rang. And the house phone never rang either.
He says she said if it's in your pocket, you probably didn't hear it.
Oh, yes, I could hear it. It's in my front pocket. Hey, he's got a DX100, huh?
Oh, yeah. Boy, he restored that thing. It looks brand new. It sounds great, too.
Also got a kilowatt matchbox.
Yeah, that belonged to me. I gave it to him. I don't use it anymore.
I think that's great. Let me tell you what I found with the kilowatt matchbox, Frank. That's him now. Hold on a second.
Okay, take your time. W2FMU. Oh, there's Ernie. Good morning, Ernie.
Frank, yeah, it helps when I turn the amp on.
Somebody just knocked on Perry's door. I don't know what that's all about, but we just got a phone call from Dave. And, you have to use your tuner up here, Ernie?
Yeah, I think so. I didn't try without it.
Okay, I got a memory set up here, I guess, in my tuner. It automatically threw the memory from the RF kit in the line when I tune up here.
Hold on, hello, radio. That's about 2-to-1 without it, so, yeah.
Yeah, it's borderline, I guess. Forget where the RF kit trips at, the SWR, I forget.
And he did a heck of a job on that foil, Frank.
Oh, yeah, don't they look nice?
Man.
I'm back.
That's a hell of a tuner. Everything okay, Perry?
Yeah.
What was that?
Yeah, everything's good. It was the joys of when your mother lives a block away from your house and something's wrong with her Gmail account and can't log in. She knocks on your door at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, that's okay. That's what moms are all about.
Yeah, so anyway, I'm trying to catch up here. What are you guys talking about?
Listen, Ernie's here now. Ernie's here.
Hey, Barry, good morning. W2FMU.
Oh, wow, everybody's here. Good morning, Ernie. How are you?
Doing pretty good for an old geezer. How you doing?
Good. Y'all settled in at the new QTH?
I haven't moved there yet.
Ah, you're just moving stuff.
Yeah, I need to get with the program and get up there.
Well, you did a beautiful job, Harry, on that tuner.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. It should last forever. It's big enough.
Yeah, I certainly would think so.
Well, I wanted to build one time to handle anything that I could throw at it because I didn't want to do it twice.
You could have made those coils a little bit more heavy duty. I would have went to half-inch copper tubing.
About 1 inch.
It circulates some water through them for cooling.
Oh, yeah.
I look like Voice of America here in Chester. You ever seen the antenna tuning, the tuning section at that station, man? It's like the size of my house.
Most AM broadcast stations have a tremendous tuning network because the antennas are very short relatively to the wavelength. So they're always using matching networks, and they're obviously for the high-powered AM stations, they're very heavy duty.
Yeah, because to have a full-size, half-wave antenna or quarter-wave antenna even on at that frequency would be relatively large.
You saw the size of that antenna down at we're down the shore at WCMC there in North Wildwood on 19th Street there. You could see how much shorter that is compared to what a quarter wave would be for 1230 kilohertz.
Oh yeah, God, that antenna was only that wasn't even probably 70 feet. The one there that me, you, and Dixon saw. Yeah, I remember that. I was just telling somebody about that not that long ago when we went down there.
Well, they're solid state now. That's a solid state transmitter. It's probably not even the size of your Henry amplifier, and it probably weighs about 15 or 20 pounds.
How about that? What God, I forget what I was gonna say.
Well, nobody uses tubes anymore because the electric bill. That's what I was saying last night when I checked in with you guys on AM. That's the reason why they don't use it. Well, that's one of the reasons, because first of all, to modulate a 50,000 watt transmitter, with Class C, I mean, you need an unbelievable amount of audio and mod transformers, and to light up all those tubes and everything, it costs too much money to run them. But that's why they want the solid state, because of dependability, and the electric bill was cut by 90%.
Yeah, I wonder what this thing's gonna do to my electric bill.
Hey, Perry, I gotta ask a question. Have you noticed the SWR on the input of the KW Matchbox? Did you have to move the tap on the link to get the SWR down?
Well, on the KW Matchbox, I couldn't get the match down really at all with my antenna. On any band with that thing, and I got tired of messing with it. It wasn't, it was the output SWR, it wasn't the input from the radio or anything from the amplifier. It was, I just could not get the match down, and then I guess from that thing sitting for so long, sitting out in the barn for, 20 years or so, there must have been something on one of the tuning capacitors. One of them arced over, and then once that happens, the thing just always arcs over, so I just put it on the shelf as a look-at piece.
Well, what I had to do when I had one, I had a terrible problem on the input, and I had to move the tap on the link coil to get the input down from the transmitter before it went to the antenna. That's what I was curious about. But you said you didn't have any problem. Okay, doke.
Yeah, that thing, I got enough tuners over here to last me 2 lifetimes, so that thing's the last resort. Actually, I have a Ten-Tec 238 in line right in front of the balance tuner for 160 because I hooked this antenna up as a T antenna and short the feeders to one side of the balance tuner, and then I have a ground strap that runs to ground, which goes to my ground radials outside, and I have 10 ground radials. They're all multiple lengths. None of them I even think are a quarter wavelength, so they're definitely not tune radials. I just put out whatever I could get out across my small little piece of property here and get on 160 with this 125-foot piece of wire, but I run out of inductance with the balance tuner, and the max gets fairly low. It's about 1.4 to 1 on 1885. But to get it down lower, I just I added the other tuner in line. My father had came up with the idea to just pop that tuner in line and run the inductance, add more inductance to bring the max down if I wanted, and so that's what I use that for. And plus I use it as an antenna switch to switch between my coax fed antennas. So I got the 10-meter Yagi on the roof, and then I have the dummy load, obviously, that's hooked up to that antenna switch, and then the 10-meter vertical, which isn't really doing much on the roof because it's blown up, but it's there.
Well, man, that's great. I've never been able to get a shortened antenna to work on 160. I had to fold mine back a bit. Let me shut up. Go ahead, Ernie. W2FMU, W5JI.
Well, good timing. I've got to run upstairs and take care of something. I'll be back a few minutes. W2FMU.
W2SDR here, though. Well, Perry, you don't have to have the resonant radials. The only time you need resonant radials if they're raised radials. In other words, they're above the ground. If they're on the ground, they're just a ground screen, so it doesn't make any difference how long they are.
Okay, yeah, I know that they're doing something because it's substantially, changed my match substantially after I put them ground radials down. So they're doing something, and boy, you couldn't have come up with a better idea to get me on 160 on this little postage stamp piece of property that I got, and I get out pretty well on 162. It's just sometimes I have a little bit of difficulty hearing people. The people are stronger when I have it hooked up as a shortened dipole as opposed to a T antenna. Basically, basically a vertical. But when on 160, once it gets a little later, signals really start to come up, and that's not a problem. W3MMR.
The more radials you'll put down with that, the better it'll work. Won't really notice it on receive, but people will notice it on your signal because it starts to really lower the radiation resistance, and more radials, the stronger your signal will be out there for that type of antenna. So, yeah, I had a feeling that would work pretty good, and John there without a problem. W2SDO.
Yeah, Joe said he'd be back. He said he had to run to go get something. I didn't quite hear what he said, but he said he will be back. So anyway, you're coming in good now. Mother Nature flipped the light switch.
Yeah, I'm hearing a little carrier off and on 3870. I don't know. Maybe somebody was tuning up way out in the distance.
Yeah, I see it too. It's back now. Hey, I was reading the forums last night, Apache Lab forum, and Rob had posted a thing. Somebody had asked about, why does it have the effect, and I asked too. When you draw, when you pull in one side of the passband on AM, and he explained it has like a Q multiplier effect, like it almost has like a nulling effect. At some points, while you're pulling it in the passband, it kind of messes up the audio. And I didn't know about in the menu. If you go to the AM, SAM menu tab in the menu, you can select the upper sideband or the lower sideband on AM, and it has zero effect on the fidelity of the station. No degradation at all. To the audio quality of the signal that you're listening to, but obviously cuts out the QRM or on whatever side, the opposite sideband that you have chosen there, and it worked really good. I was using it last night, man. It was working awesome.
Yeah, well, I've used that. The Sony receiver that I have, which was one of the first radios ever made with a synchronous detector in it. When you tune it, you can click it like it tunes in 100 hertz intervals. And as you tune it, there's an LEDs on there for LSB or one sideband or the other. And you're on synchronous. So if you clicked it to one side of the station you're listening to, it automatically switches the sideband from upper to lower or lower to upper. The synchronous, it does it automatically.
Oh, really? That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, so, this one, most of the time I leave it just on lower and upper together. But it would be nice if they had those selections on the front panel so you wouldn't have to go into the menu to do it.
No, I agree. Yeah, because I always have to keep the menu open at all times. Because if I don't, say if I select the one side and I forget about it, Rob said he left it like that for like almost a month and he didn't even realize it.
I leave it on both, and it's not something that I use hardly at all. With the QRM, I mean, you spend more time on the AM than me. If somebody's that close, it's something I hardly ever do is pull the passband in very rarely. And I like to work with that Q multiplier and that 303 because there's something wrong. Either you're not using it right or there's something wrong with it. But that should not work like you say. It should be. It shouldn't do that. Did you check the manual on the operation of that Q multiplier?
Yeah, I did, but it was a while ago, so anything that I'd be saying, it probably would be false information. Yeah, it has, like I said, a nulling effect, a notching effect, as opposed to, pulling in one side or the other. Well,
it doesn't pull in one side or the other. What it does is narrows the receiver. It's not a passband eliminator. It narrows everything up.
Well, that's what I meant. I didn't mean the passband. They're pulling one side of the passband narrows everything up.
Yeah, I got the manual around here somewhere for that. I have to take a look at that because it doesn't sound like it's operating the way it's supposed to.
Yeah, no problem. When I'm talking, can you hear that any fans in the background or anything like that?
Well, there's a lot of noise. Your signal's not that good to hear that. Just key the mic and let me hear if I hear any background without you talking. Oh yeah, it's about an S9 or so of fan rumble.
Yeah, well, here on sideband, I am running a lot of compression, so it's probably bringing up the background noise quite a bit.
Well, it's not bad because you're on Vox. You see, now if you were white-knuckled, push the talk, it would be very irritating. But since when you don't talk, you're on key, it's really not an issue.
Right, and I really, you haven't heard me on AM really. Well, I guess you heard me last night. But yeah, I turned the leveler down a good amount. I was messing around with the audio last night, and it really helped things out. But last thing I want to do is run a noise gate. I don't like noise gates.
Neither do I. I think if you just knock the leveler down right now, it would probably go right away, and you probably don't even need hardly any leveling.
I actually am not really running any. Hold on a second here. Let me change the thing here. ALC group 1 2. I have a lot of ALC. Let me turn the ALC down. Hello 1 2. All right, turn the ALC down. Let me go back to leveler here. 1 2 test. Hello radio. Let me turn the leveler down. 1 2 3 4. All right, yeah, I'm white knuckling it now, but let me just stop talking.
Well, that sounds okay. You're not going to quiet that thing down. I mean, the thing's a vacuum cleaner. I mean, I can still hear it, but I wouldn't even think about it.
Right, no, because it's a hell of a lot quieter than what it was, man.
You use Vox, and nobody's even going to notice it.
Right, yeah, so we'll just leave it as it is. And like I said, it's a lot quieter than what it was. And maybe I could put it in the closet on the other side of the room when if I get a wild hair up my butt, but that's probably not going to happen anytime soon.
Judging by what I'm seeing on the pan adapter, it's mostly bass. If you put your low cut at about 100 or 150, it would probably almost disappear.
Yeah, I see exactly what you mean there. I get like that woo, 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 that it's not like a vibration, but it's like a harmonic from the fan. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know. I mean, just really splitting hairs.
Oh, of course. That's what I do.
I get rid of that. I put some more low cut in here, and it probably would disappear, make a big difference.
Where's your low cut at?
Well, mine's at 50, but I use the low cut on my microphone too, so it's probably up around 150 or 200.
Oh, no way. You're not at 150 or 200. I'll tell you that right now.
I use the low cut on the B1, and I have 50 on the transmit profile.
Actually, I think I have. I have to go in here and configure this, but that's weird. It's not even down to 0 on my filter's not even down to 0. It's at like minus 50. That's weird. I don't know why it's like that. I thought I had it at 0.
Filter.
You guys hear those clouds down on 2 kilohertz below us?
Oh, yeah, man, they're loud.
That's pretty rude, isn't it?
What filter are you talking about, Perry?
The receive filter.
Mine is, okay, well, mine's, I don't know, I'm on 2.7. It's 100 to 2800.
Yeah, mine on 3.1 and 0 to 3100. So it was at 50 to 3100.
I don't go down that low. It just picks up a lot of racket, a lot of rumble on people and everything. I mean, I don't use hi-fi mode on Steve. All my filters are either at 100 off or 200 cutoff.
Ah, okay.
Hey, Perry, where did you find the NC303 and the DX100? They look like they're in mint condition. Did you have to repaint, or did you find them where you just cleaned them up?
No, I made them that way. Well, both front panels on either rig were in really good shape. That was pretty much the only things that were in good shape on them. I picked the NC303 up on Craigslist. There was an ad on Craigslist a friend of mine sent to me. He said, you might be interested in this. And he had a Johnson Invader and the NC303, and it was about an hour and a half drive, so I went up and picked it up. I only bought the 303, and the guy sells a bunch of tubes. He goes to some ham fests around here and sells tubes. So anyway, Bought some twos off him in the 303. The 303 was in perfect working condition. Besides the dial cord was is busted, and I still haven't fixed it because it's a hell of a feat to fix that dial cord. And I painted the cabinet, refinished the cabinet on the NC303, but the DX100, refinished the cabinet on that, and that thing was pretty much a ground up restoration project to get that thing to where it's at now.
Well, I'll tell you what, boy, both of them look immaculate as well as the CX100.
Well, thank you, Joe. Yeah, I put a lot of hard work and time into those things, and it makes you feel good when somebody appreciates it, so I appreciate it. W3 MMR.
Hey, you should hear that DX100 too. It sounds like a broadcast station just with a D104 on it. I mean, it sounds every bit as good as it looks.
Cooling above.
Oh, he's fading out.
Yeah, Joe, you're dipping down there, bud.
It's getting worse. Awfully good chatting with you, Perry. Beautiful work you've done, Ernie. Might catch you guys later. W2SDR, W3MMR, W2FMU, W5JI. Later.
See you, Joe. 7-3. Great talking to you. Hopefully we'll do it again soon. W3 MMR.
7-3, Joe.
Yeah, 7-3, Joe. I think I'm going to move down. It's getting a little noisy here.
All right, guys. Real quick, Poppy, you seeing that propagated noise on the pan adapter? Like it's like little balls on the pan. I don't know, little things that are like drifting up and down. It's pretty wide.
I don't know. It's so much racket here with the static and. What was that?
I tripped my Vox.
So much static here, it's not quiet enough to start picking apart the pan adapter.
All right. Well, you guys have fun. We'll catch up with you guys later. I'm a QSY off the band for a bit before I gotta get ready for work. Good hearing you, Ernie. Good hearing you, Pop, and we'll talk to you guys a little bit later. W3 MMR.
Yeah, I definitely do something with the low cut in that profile because it's all down there near the red line, the rumble. So if you could cut that back a little bit, it would be. Now that you're stronger, it's pretty evident in there. But it's all on the very low end, below 200 hertz.
All right. Well, I put the cut in. I put it up to 100 now, and I'm on the key on the foot pedal, and yeah, I can see that the peak of that wah, but it doesn't seem like the fans are quite as loud.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about. Maybe if you cut back on the leveler or the amount of compression a little bit, but I think as long as you use Vox, it's not going to be an issue. To talk, it would definitely be an issue.
All right, man. Well, you guys have fun. I'll let you guys go. We'll talk at you folks is a little bit later. Great hearing you guys, and everybody's coming in strong. W3 MMR 7-3.
7-3, W2FMU, QSY.
And W2SDR. And I'm seeing that sawtooth periodically, Perry. Is that what you're talking about up and down the pass band?
Yeah, like it comes up and then it fades back down. Yeah, it's like that noise, propagated noise we were getting up before when we were on 85. It's like the same thing.
Yeah, same deal. See you later, W2SDR.
See you. W3 MMR. W3 MMR. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is W3 MMR testing. Hello, test. This is W3 MMR testing 1, 2. Yay. Sorry, guys. Hold on. Yay. All right, W3MMR, standing by.
Hey, you sound like this now. 3MMR, KN4HH.
Hey, Bob. Good morning to you. Yeah, there was a bunch of fellas in here earlier. Henry and Charlie and Steve, Big Yellow Dog in Ohio, and BNY. Steve BNY was in there, but he dropped out in the middle of a transmission and never came back. I hope everything's all right on his end. But was just down the band on sideband with my father and a few of his friends on 3872. Trying out this new amplifier. I'm using a Henry 3KD classic amplifier I just picked up. Tried it out on sideband, and that's the story on that. Coming in good here, Bob. KN4HHW3MMR.
Oh, good deal, sir. W3MMR, KN4HH. That sound great. Coming up, I'm going to have to use the SDR, but you're coming through fine this morning. Although, we've got if I can sit here, we've got the thunderstorms in the area, so I don't know how long I'll be able to last here. There's going to be plenty of right now, even if you're not doing a great job this morning. I'm on 4 a.m. this morning, ICOM 7300, running my whole SPE to about 200 watts. So that's what we got going. It'll be a wet, miserable day today, Perry. W3MMR, KN4HH.
Yeah, KN4HH, excuse me, W3MMR. Well, you're sounding great. The ICOM sounds wonderful. I always enjoy listening to those 7300s on AM. They sound surprisingly well for 6 kilohertz of total bandwidth. And I've always noticed they sound the best with the stock mic that they come with that, excuse me, with that electric element that they come with. They sound good. Obviously with a little tweaking, I guess, of the internal EQ in the rig, but nevertheless, they always sound great there. I think my dad talks to your neighbor a lot in the mornings. N4WC, is he your neighbor, Bob?
Yeah, he sure is. Perry. He lives in Sharpsburg, Georgia, which he's literally less than 5 miles from me. So he and I, we have a 7.5 every morning. I talk to Bill at least 5 days a week over.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Bill always gets on with my father down on 3745, and I enjoy listening. I go down there and listen a lot after I get off of here while I'm getting ready for work, because I usually hop off of here at 7. I got to start getting ready for work at around 7:15 or so I tune down there and I'll listen into those guys before they get off the air. And he's always a pleasure to listen to. I've never had the chance to speak with him yet, because I don't have my extra, so I can't get down to that portion of the band, which is I need to get, as I've been procrastinating on. I start to study and then I stop, and I take the practice tests are 50 questions, and it takes a while to just get through one practice test. So I end up procrastinating, but I do really need to accomplish that and get down there and maybe get in with those guys in the morning. But real good. Yeah, I didn't know he was so close there, and I knew that you guys did know each other. I don't know if you had mentioned it to me before, or Bill had mentioned it to my father, and my father had passed a word along to me about you guys being acquaintances there. So real good on that there. So well, anyway, Bob, you sound great. I just want to jump in here, and I was doing some testing, and I think I'm going to scoot on out and try to straighten things up here in the shack. I moved the amplifier from where my AL80B was, which is about 2 feet behind me, maybe 1.5 feet, directly behind my computer chair on a little shelf there. And the AL80B was, the fan's internal fan is not loud on that thing. I think it's a very quiet amplifier. But this Henry is a whole another story. So I moved the amplifier under my boat anchor desk, which is about 4 feet further away from me, and which required cutting some with the hole with the hole saw, holes for the coax to come through, and so I got to do a little vacuuming here this morning before I head to work, clean that up. And but it definitely did help out with the fan noise. You still may be able to hear it some in the background when I'm really strong, when I don't talk, but it's a lot better than what it was, and there's really not too much else I can do about it at this point. So anyway, Bob, great hearing you. We'll say 7-3. I'm sure we'll catch up with you real soon, here maybe tomorrow morning. And again, great signal. The ICOM sounds fantastic. And have a great day, Bob, and stay safe. And we'll listen out for your final KN4HH W3MMR.
Okay, great, Terry. Holding up beautifully. Really, really nice. So, I think I was going to accuse you of having some kind of hum, but that's fan voice. I think your signal is so good and your audio is so it's not objectionable. It's kind of neat. I remember the old days when guys were proud of their big old burner pans and all that stuff, but that's wonderful, Terry. Yeah, we've talked about and with Tom's radio, and I was in the business. I hope you and your significant other everything's fine down here. We're doing great, and we will catch you later. We're having a conversation.
Yeah, real great, Bob. Let me make sure I saw another carrier in there. Great hearing you, Bob. And yeah, that is the fans. And if it wasn't for that, it might not even be able to hear them that much. Like the you just hear that hum or that fan hum, I should say, because the frequency response of this radio is don't transmit is DC to daylight. You know what I mean? So I got to figure out a way to get rid of that if I can, because I don't think it's like a vibration. I think it's a harmonic of the harmonic of the fan going through the case. So I don't even know if that's something I can even get rid of, but I'm going to try, come hell or high water, to get rid of it. But if not, it isn't a big deal. Like you said, it's not objectionable, and it's a lot better than what it was before I moved the amplifier. So, all right, Bob, you pick it up with the breaker. We'll say 7-3, great hearing you, and hopefully we'll catch up with you tomorrow morning. Have a great day. Be safe. KN4HH 7-3 from W3MMR.
Did you want a mail or email though?
Yeah, I want a mail.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, only downside on the mails, besides I'm gonna have a new fence by the time he comes. The only downside is it's hard to take them over to anybody's house that has a dog because they'll pee on the couch.
Oh yes.
KC4GL, have a good day. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, it's not not unique to that breed, my friend.
Or species. Last year at the baseball game tailgate, this woman just bound and determined that I'll bring him over so she could pet him. And I'm like, man, I don't really need to bring him. They were tightwads sitting outside the fence, and her husband was sitting there. And so I finally gave in and brought him over there, and she started petting him. He cocked his leg and peed on the back of the guy's chair just enough that it wet just through and got him just slightly wet.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I just took him and left pretty quick, and he and his wife were going back and forth. KC4GL.
I guess. Well, hey, if you take him to a friend or relative or neighbors, you can put a diaper on him.
If she hadn't been standing there, I would have been willing to bet him that wasn't the first time she had done something that he disagreed with the outcome on.
Oh boy.
KC4GL.
Ernie, is this group going to stay on the on the low bands, or is it going to evolve to C4 FM.
I guess it depends on the static level. Well, it depends on the conditions and the static level. I don't know. Whatever works. I gotta run and get my day going, get dressed, and start moving stuff off. Get you guys after a while. LV2FMU.
Okay, hey, be safe, man. Take care. We'll see you later. W4KR.
And 73.
Wisconsin.
Still no joiners. KK5IM with them. KJ. Well, we get out and around. The car up a month ago still has everything is so close by. We're very fortunate. Well, actually, as I recall, you're pretty close to the big mall. Stopping into the Target store near your house, and I came to see you one time, and I had to stop. In the store, and down here, Arthur, boy, they had everything. I mean, the shelves were full, and they had boxes on the floor. They over-anticipated the meal. So, the funny thing is, we didn't panic because we're in good shape. Some of these people just go nuts. But they had everything we needed, and we came home, and so we did a lot of walking. The weather's been nice. I love the way it is. But yeah, we still we're not total. So I can't afford to get scared. We don't have that many years left, so I cherish every one of my years, and that's just doing a wonderful job. It's just amazing. I'm sure Brian Gates will see this. And you're up front with the bookkeepers. You can't see it. Somewhere on there it says Miller Machine Works. I'm telling you what, Mr. Miller is one machine shop of his. I just can't get over how like I say, I was a really good woodworker, but I didn't stand close to the wood. I'll be honest with you. Encouraging me, but then again, I didn't figure I didn't feel what I had. The M4JK,
then the FMs used a lot bigger tubes and so forth. So some of the other tubes I'm just not, familiar with. And then we ended up last summer acquiring that McMartin transmitter that I used to see in operation up in Maine that used the 4 of them, the 41000. So I remember seeing that. That was in operation at a station back in Maine when I moved up to Maine back in 1984. We had our 50,000 watt FM in the same building as the 5,000 watt AM. I guess they were owned by the same owner at one point, and he kind of had fallen on hard times at one point, so ended up spinning off both the AM and FM to other people, and so we still shared this transmitter building. So those are pretty much the tubes I always remember seeing in transmitters. And then, when over the summer we saw that, I think it was the Frank Jones transmitter, I think that was using 100 THs or something, if I remember correctly, and that was a pretty cool tube, and hoping at some point Timmy comes and gets that and gets it going so we can see some photos of it and so forth. So, yep. So, Borgie, I have a number of broadcast transmitters that I have rescued with the intent of keeping them out of the dump, so to speak. So at some point, Jamie and I are kind of in the process of trying to get 1 or 2 of them up and running for ham use, and then the whatever's left is going to end up getting, spun off at some point. I'm not looking really to make any money off of them. I'm just looking to get my funds back of paying people to help and running Ryder trucks and all of that sort of stuff. And so those are stored right now at our shop, and I've got a BC-1H up north to go rescue, and I'm waiting until this make-believe coronavirus crap ends before we end up running the Ryder truck. I've got my team of people that normally goes with me to do this ready to go, but I'm a little nervous about traveling, 3 or 4 hours away to go get this thing and then come back. I guess travel, I talked to an engineer who's downstate that works all over the state. He's telling me that travel isn't really a problem, but then again, he's in a car. I'm not sure, how the higher-ups end up looking at running Ryder trucks. Normally if you run a Ryder truck, you're moving, and typically there's not supposed to be a lot of anything going on here in New York State for whatever reason at this point. Anyway, I'm kind of rambling and babbling here. I'm just wondering if any of the guys from up in the New England area we normally talk with down here on this frequency are trying to get in here too, as we're rambling on. Anyway, K9YQQ Borgie, over to you. This is K2XAM in the group.
Colorado Delta Bravo.
And W8 Tango, Oscar Whiskey, W8 Tango.
Okay, we got them all coming here.
Very good.
K2XAM in the group, K9YQQ. And it was solid copy for the most part. The signal came up, and with the steady frequencies are really becoming troublesome now. The group of people that are just about to climb on the frequency here are migrants from 160 meters. They usually got together in 1885, and propagation got to be so bad and noise in the summer that they chose this frequency to meet on, and they just started doing it a couple of weeks ago, I think. The others that are joining know more about it than I do, because I'm not a frequent joiner. I'm usually busy around that time of the morning, so but anyway, I made some slight changes to the tank circuit on the transmitter, and I wanted to test it, and here I am. I think, but I
think the group still meets on 3880 later on in the morning. I may be wrong. Maybe this is the new place that they stay all morning now. I don't know. But anyway, I too am I just retired in January. I'm 73 years old, but I've been in broadcasting my entire working career. I started in 1969 at a television station here in Indianapolis, and I've been in broadcasting ever since. The last 20 years, I had a consulting company, and we built a bunch of television stations and production facilities, and not too much radio. I did build a couple of radio stations here in Indianapolis in the 70s, but I've been mostly television the entire time. And then I was just recently involved with the Spectrum repack from the FCC. I was doing transmitter inspections, transmitter site inspections to help people change their channel. You know, whether they needed new antennas, towers, transmitters, filters, yada yada. And so but anyway, I decided to retire. So I actually, as far as the IRS is concerned, my company has been closed down as of January 1st, 2020. We'll just leave it at that. If the phone rings, you know, maybe I'll do something, maybe I won't. But I've got a lot of time to myself now, and I'm enjoying doing it. That's my history. So anyway, my lovely wife has just announced to me that breakfast is on the stove. So I can smell the bacon, and I don't want to miss out on that. So hopefully I'll be able to eat some breakfast and come back down here and join the group. It gets pretty big. So good morning, Steve, and whoever else is checked in there. But I'm going to turn it back to Jamie, and I'm going to say 73 to Jamie and 73 to Connor. And good morning to all those that are lurking on 3705 here. And I'll hopefully be back when I get to eat breakfast. It was a pleasure making your acquaintance, fellas. N2VJ and the group. This is K9YQQ. I'll be back after breakfast.
Okay, from Cloud W8NWF as well. All right, Gorgie, no, the pleasure was all mine. It was great to meet you, and such a nice job on that transmitter. Great job. Here, I'm going to wait to the first check-in or breaking station was K8EB, so you go ahead and kind of go down the line. I know you guys get in here, so K8EB, this is N2VJ in Syracuse, New York.
Good morning, Steve. We're down here, Studio
95, 3695. 3695. Trap.
I'm gonna try 3880. 3880. The hell with this.
Okay.
Alrighty, Steve Echo Bravo. And the group that is to Orgy and Kevin and Jamie out east. You guys in Syracuse and they're doing great in here. Borgie, you were sounding fine. heard everybody in here. Let's get her around real quick. I heard KF9KU. It goes to you, Jill, and then you turn it to Dan. And Dan turns it to Tom. So that's the order that I'm in there. So KF9KU. Jill. Probably. You got it up.
This is K2XAM. Not sure if Tim is up here. K2XAM, WA1HELR, and N2VJ is probably tuning the antennae. N2VJ or WA1HELR, are you here kicking around? This is K2XAM. This is K2XAM, K2XAM.
I made it up here too. K2XAM, this is N2VJ.
I guess we're only waiting on Tim at this point.
Good morning.
Morning, Mark. K2XAM, W1RCA.
Good morning, Mark. How are you? W1RCA. Man, that's a great call. In the group, this is N2VJ. Boy, cold day. I imagine it must be cold up there, too. The Cardinals are singing. It's sort of a weird dichotomy. You've got all these spring birds singing out there, and sounds very bucolic and nice. And, you know, if you were to just hear it, you'd feel like maybe it should be about 55 out there, and you could go outside and do stuff. But it's cold. It's in the 20s here. And I had to go back. We were down on 3705, and Timmy wanted to come up here, and so I had to go out back to change the tuning on the antenna. It's good to hear you, Mark. Boy, you've got a good signal right now down here into Syracuse, New York. And Kevin is about 2.5 miles away from me, so he pretty much always has a good signal. Kevin, I'll give it to you. Hopefully you're hearing Mark okay. K2XAM in the group. This is N2DJ.
Sure, I got Mark loud and clear here on the little ICOM 7300. For whatever reason, the noise floor is okay here. I've also got him on the NJC Web SDR is kind of a backup, but sure, he's coming in. Mark's coming in loud and clear. I think Timmy's going to be getting in here too. Timmy wanted to come up here, but. Good to hear you and finally talk with you, Mark. I work on a bench right 10 feet, 5 feet from Jamie, whatever, and so we've got the ham set up on a desk, a table near his bench, and so we usually have the radio going on, and I heard you talking with him, and I think Timmy was in there too the other day. Maybe that was maybe Tuesday morning or something. But good to hear you in here and talking. And I've got 15 or 20 minutes left in here, and then I end up heading on into the shop where Jamie's at this point. So I get the whole thing of getting in here and doing some ham radio stuff in the morning before we head off on into the whole work situation. So yeah, I'll throw it on over to you, Mark. W1RCA. This is K2XAM in the group.
Okay, fine, Kevin. Big signal. Let me see if I've got it. Okay. Yeah, very good, Kevin. Yeah, you're very strong here, about 20, 30 over S9. Yeah, we're working today, some conference calls, a lot of computer time, a lot of burnout by staring at the computer most of the day, screwing around with spreadsheets and reports, but that's okay. I'm employed and I'm getting paid, so that's a good thing. I'm running a Viking Valiant, which I've been working on the past few days, and discovered that the drive control on one end of it was open. One end, and the wiper was measuring the distance, so I was from the wiper to the other end, and it was open, which explains a lot. The sun is kind of early, and I fixed a few other things. Receiver to the ER88, and the antenna is a dipole of 55 feet. Yeah, it's quite cold this morning, about 27 degrees. Got ice forming in the backyard pool. Liquid state for about 2 weeks, and now it's freezing up again. But it's supposed to get up to maybe 60 degrees on Saturday, so I'm looking forward to that. Jamie, big signal here. I heard you guys found the band, and I was going to break in, but you guys got hooked up. I think Tim was going to come up here, so maybe he's in there now. So over to you, Jamie, and maybe Tim's in there ready to check in. This is W1RCA Portable VE2. Over.
W1RCA in the group. This is N2VJ. Yeah, so, I mean, there's a little bit of a backstory to it, Mark, and you probably already know it. We've been hanging out down there for about a year and a half, about this time in the morning, starting around 6. From 6 to about 8, just sort of loose activity, unless, a conversation really got going. And then when I was mobile on the way out, oh, yeah, you were in with us. So all of a sudden we started noticing that the guys in the... And we're in a difficult location here, Kevin and I. I mean, we're close to far enough west that we would be causing interference to them. And so they popped up. It made for some confusion. And I thought it was the crew, because those calls were familiar to me, some of them. I thought it was the crew from 3880 from right here, from out, the Chicago way. But apparently they're 160-meter guys when they came up, because the propagation is now starting to get rough in the morning. And boy, yeah, I was looking through your pictures, Mark, on Kersey.com. I saw the one picture of you in Giza. And man, that must have been a blast. I've worked in East Africa, but I've never had a chance to be up north into Egypt. I built a station, the Broad Masses of Voice of the Broad Masses of Eritrea, during the heyday of the Ethiopia-Eritrea jamming. Ethiopia was doing the jamming, but. So I built a domestic service there, and man, I wanted to go to Egypt so bad. That I have a fascination with just the Egyptian civilization. I'm always trying to read and absorb all that I can about it. And it must have been a blast to be up there. Is there a sort of a feeling about being there too? Maybe I can't really put it into the right words, but sort of any metaphysical feeling that you get from being there. Above and beyond what, when you'd go to a big tourist location. I'm just curious what it was like to be there. And strangely enough, as much as the Horn of Africa's culture was heavily influenced by Italy during the war and the occupation and all that, there still, is this sort of feeling of ancientness, amongst the people, amongst just everything about being there. There's just a lot of really ancient history that you see it, although not so as much as I imagine in Egypt, because the Italians really, they went through the place. I'm Italian too. Anyways, you get what I'm saying, Mark. And I'm just curious what it was like in Egypt, how it felt being there in that whole area. It just looks like such a fascinating trip. I've not done much work in that area. I was up in northern Iraq, but there's nothing of the old culture there. I was up in Kurdistan near Duhok and that northern section of Iraq. It's again, it's whatever of the real ancient culture that was there has just been gone by the when Islam kind of took over. So and Islam is an old culture too, but I have kind of a fascination back before BCE, or rather in that BCE era, just learning about everything. So must have been fascinated. I see you're also a fellow traveler, and I was looking at the great pictures you've got, and what a great station you've got too there, Mark. Good job. Kevin, I don't know if you're looking on his website, and I've known Mark probably going back to, I would say, the early 90s. Yeah, maybe even earlier than that. But I think I first worked you on CW, and then on AM, as we would run into each other more on AM. So Kevin, up to you there. We're over to you, 2 miles away from me. K2XAM in the group, and drag your feed to see if Tim makes it in. This is N2VJ.
AJ1G. Good morning, Jamie.
Hi, Chris.
Morning, Chris.
I'll just listen here, but I'm here.
Morning, Chris. AJ1G, K2XAM in here in the group. Sure, Jamie. I did. I looked at the QRZ page there on Mark the other day when you were talking to him. I out of all the stuff I was most impressed with was. Mark's got his novice license up there. And that's amazing to me, because I never got to see one. I didn't unfortunately get into doing ham radio until they came out with the no code thing, and I think that might have been 1999 or something like that when I went and took my test, because I could never catch the code. I could just never master it. I could never get it, for whatever reason. But I was, fairly good at figuring out vacuum tubes and hooking up modulation transformers and AM transmitters and stuff like that. So that was when I ended up getting in. So it was cool to me to see the novice ticket there, as it were. So that was a good thing. That and all of the pictures. But I unfortunately have never been a world traveler, and as Jamie knows, I spent 2 weeks in Turkey building some studios and working on some 10 kilowatt shortwave transmitters for another transmitter company back in the early 90s, and that was kind of the only travel that I did, other than several years ago running up to somewhere just east of Montreal to do some work with the CBC guys. But generally, much of my work has been throughout the Northeast, between New England, New York, and Pennsylvania is where I spent much of my time running, town to town, up and down the dials, just like the good old WKRP theme says. So that's been my experience. So, Chris, I don't know if you want to jump in here. AJ1G, this is K2XAM in the group.
Yeah, K2XAM, and nice group here, AJ1G. I'm 3880. I assume you're on 80 because looks like there's some slot bucket just above 3885. Surprised to hear everyone down here on 80. But here we are. Good morning to you, Jamie. And I didn't catch the name of the station up in VE2 land, but you got a nice signal here into southeastern Connecticut. The name here is Chris, Charlie Hotel Romeo India Sierra. Nice to meet you. And we're on the IC 7100 at 1% output, driving the Central Electronics 600L to about 100 watts of carrier here into the duty inverted V, shallow angle inverted V, more like a dipole. Yeah, Jamie, I had a good night last night on the DX window. Worked a whole bunch of stations, and most of them got 5.9 for 5.9 plus reports here on me. Very nice conditions in the window last night. Very late last night, early morning, right around midnight. Well, that's when the Europeans, that's almost their gray line now because their sun's coming up so early. I have been getting on like 2:30 in the morning and wrapping up, but that's way too late now. So had a Tom DK DF2 Blue Ocean, the antenna guy, F5 Mike November, Mike India November, EA1 DLU Samuel, he's always on. Bunch of new guys that hadn't worked before, I4 LEC, OT4A, well, that's OT4A, I've worked forever, Theo. F4 DSD, bunch of stations on. Very quiet band last night, and compared to like what it was yesterday morning. Anyhow, let's see. I guess it goes over to the station up in VE2. I'm following the rotation here, and again, nice to meet you, Chris, down here in the southeastern corner of the state of Connecticut, on the Connecticut shoreline. So over to you, up in VE land, AJ1G.
Chris, I'm not copying the string of still a good copy. Yeah, I was listening to the DX right around that time you were on. I didn't get in, but that Tom Blue Ocean was at 25 this time, and around 786 Dave from England. I think it was 12 times. Static levels went down too, so that was a good sign. Yeah, my shack is a little bit configured a little bit differently than what's on QRZ. So I was here for a year. You know, living there, like staying there. But, you know, it is easy to think about the third world country as far as what's going on economically in Hawaii.
But I had a good time. I had some good memories. Almost got killed there once. Wrong place at the wrong time. I got pretty close to getting stuff, but managed to get out of the situation. Yeah, I'll talk about it to you in cash. Have it as best time I had was 5 miles outside of London. I had a great time. I was here for 4 years. Paris, southern France. Spent a lot of time on the south of France, Riviera, as you say. But living the dream. And South Africa was very nice. One trip. Beautiful country and picture perfect weather. Okay, I'll turn it over to you, Jamie. KFTGM. Again, this is W1RCA Portable Beat.
KW1RCA Portable VE2. This is N2VJ. I'm curious what you do for a living, Mark. I mean, you know my job, but maybe it's not something you want to talk about, and I get it. So I was just curious why you travel so much, and you spend fairly long times in the areas that you travel to. Yeah, you know, I wasn't real impressed with Iraq. That's for sure. And some countries that I thought would be at least, you know, maybe not on a par, but I was surprised to find were, you know, like you said, just above a third world country. That was pretty, and you know, we take so much for granted here. We're so fat and happy, even in the midst of what's going on now, that we take a lot for granted. You know, I think the best place I ever went to was Vanuatu, you know, off the coast of New Zealand there. That was a really good time. It was very laid back, and, you know, there's no big worries. You know, it's pretty, even when things aren't going good, they're still going pretty good. You know, you can't get a lot of things that you get used to here in the States, but it was nice, and the weather was nice, and all of it was pretty nice and relaxed, and had the opportunity to build two short wave stations there, and that was fun. And I got to go back again too, you know, just to kind of do upgrades. So it was a real relaxed situation there. That was the best. Korea was, you know, surprisingly good too. I was in South Korea a very long time, and it was the people more than anything that just were so impressive to me, and you know, it's a homogenous society, and you know, the focus of working hard, the ethic that was involved with was being there, and you know, it rubs off on you too. You really become more of a team player when you're in a culture like that, and that's what it was more all about. And that was a good education for me. It helped me file off some of the rough edges in my personality, just being part of that, and I liked that. And Japan was nice too. I wasn't there all that long, about I think 2 months, and it was the same thing. And I think, you know, for the most part, and I'm sure you noticed it too, that for the most part, that, you know, we're all kind of humans, and I you know, for me it was the big shock as I started really spending time with different cultures, was finding how much alike we were. All the, you know, and for example, in Japan, you know, of course, in the initial stages, that first week, everybody was very formal and very, right, in all the rituals that you go through in a situation like that, as far as dealing with each other at the human level. But that very quickly, you know, as we all became familiar with each other, that very quickly went away. And then I found out, and also too, as I started being able to understand what people were saying to each other more, it all kind of dropped after a while, and I just found out that they bust each other's you-know-whats at work, just like everyone else, and everybody's hopes and dreams are exactly the same. It was all the same thing. I don't know. It wasn't really like that in Iraq for me. I don't know if it was like that in Egypt for you, but in Eritrea it was more like that. That at the human level, it was not really much different. In every country I've been to, it wasn't all that different from dealing at the human level in the United States. Just, you know, how people deal with each other, and the funniness and the sarcasm that, you know, at first, because I wasn't familiar with the languages, but everybody has that same sort of way of teasing each other at work. And I really, that was sort of a thing that endeared me to everybody. It was just seeing, you know, it was ultimately a bunch of guys at work, you know, hanging out, doing the same thing that all over the world guys at work do, you know, when they're talking to each other and stuff like that. And so that really woke me up to the similarities that we all have to each other rather than the differences. I think the cultural levels are more superficial than we may even realize. Okay, Mark, boy, it's good to run into you again. I'm glad you're back on the air. I hope you're gonna be around for a while, because it was always fascinating to talk to you in the past, and it still is now. And Chris, good job on the DXing. I haven't been down there in a while. You know, I'll tell you, Chris, when I'm home, I just want to spend time with Michelle and get some chores done for her. And since she got sick, now I realize how, you know, that maybe someday I may not have her anymore, and so that's really put a big scare into me, and I don't want to take the minutes I have with her for granted anymore. So, okay, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to back out and give her a call, just see how she's doing, and then I'll pop back in. So, Kevin, I'll pass it to you, because I know it's getting time for you to head down here. K2XAM in the group. This is N2VJ.
All right, yeah, very good, Jamie. Yes, guys, I do need to get out of here and get packed up and head on down to the shop where Jamie is. So with that, I'm going to just very quickly throw it on over to Chris and let Chris take it here for a minute. So AJ1G, this is K2XAM in the group. Good day, guys.
Yeah, K2XAM and the group AJ1G. Okay, very good, and nice to meet you guys here on the air again this morning. I'm going to get signed out myself here. I was just looking at the AM phone. Well, I'm talking to nobody here. Oh, okay, I'm set. I thought I forgot to kick the amplifier on, but I did. Yeah, I put up a posting yesterday, Jamie, and Mr. Mike put up an update about horse traders, which is now there's not going to be one until the fall, apparently, at the earliest. And I put up a posting on his thread about that. One of the things I guess that got in the way is a Volkswagen, air-cooled Volkswagen show in July. That was apparently one time slot that may have been available, but got snapped up by a vintage Volkswagen group. And I put a posting in about that got my attention because my son Ben has a really cool '67 VW. I don't know if you saw it, but I put up a posting about a link to the VW show website in case people are interested in that. It certainly got my attention, and I don't know if you've been following there's been a really, actually Steve T4HX started a very off-topic thread, but it's had a lot of fun, and it's been a lot of fun, vintage fishing. And I said, hey, why don't we just have a vintage car thread going? You know, you always hear about people's cars and projects they're working on, vehicles and stuff over the air over the years, but I've never really seen any of the pictures. And I know some pretty cool, there's some pretty cool sets of wheels out there amongst the community. So I said, let's start one, and then we've got two postings now. One of them is from Morgan, SM60ID. He has got a very cool web page. I was just commenting back on that to him. The guy's got all sorts of military radios and the other thing he collects is huge vintage engines, and he's got Rolls-Royce tank engines, and his 1,500 horsepower must be a Russian or Eastern European tank engine or something like that. It's like 1,500 horsepower. He's got it on like a steel frame. It's like a cart, like a maintenance cart. Some crazy stuff. But anyhow, to hope that spread takes off, I'd like to see some of the old wheels. And I did put up a picture of my son's VW. But that one's on the horse traders. Maybe I'll move it over to the vintage car one as well later on today. Anyhow, 73 guys, take care. All stay safe, and you guys out there, especially Michelle's always in the prayers here. We've got a kind of a tough couple of weeks. My wife was actually in the hospital for a non-COVID related situation, but she's back now, and actually did get tested and came back negative. They apparently are testing everybody on discharge. They should make sure they didn't pick up anything in the hospital. 73 all, and up to VE land, and I didn't get your call up there again, so if you want to give me your call again a couple times, I'm going to write it into the logs here. AJ1G.
Okay, Chris, I got most of that, but your signal's fading down, and mine probably fading down with you too. My call sign is W1 Charlie Alpha W1 RCA portable 6 area code 2. We're about 50 miles west of Montreal. Yeah, Kevin, I got about half of that fading down so far, so the band is changed. Anyway, with that, I'll say 73 to everybody.